Well, people, yesterday was a sad day for America. It was a very sad day. They indicted President Trump. He's the first American president to ever be indicted. But the sad part about this historic day was he was indicted for political purposes. The DA in New York campaigned on Get Trump. The DA campaigned on Get Trump. The Attorney General of New York also campaigned on we're going to get Trump. And the sad part about it was they got elected based on that. Now listen, we all know that Trump has not committed any crimes. Okay, because if he had committed any crimes, there's no way after 7 years, after all the investigations, all the exams, all his finances, you name it, everything has been examined and they couldn't come up with anything. So they tried, this DA had to use something that the feds had done away with because first of all, there was no crime. They didn't see any crime in what Trump did as far as paying his attorney, who in turn had already paid Stormy Daniels. See, I don't have time right now to get into the history of that, but I followed this thing from the beginning with this Stormy Daniels thing. I followed it when it first came out. I did all kind of research, and I don't have time right now to get into it. But the thing about it is this, nothing was illegal. Michael Cohen is a liar. He was indicted, basically, and they don't like to focus on that because they want you to think he was indicted for campaign finance. But that's not why he was indicted. He was indicted because he owned a taxi service and he was not paying his taxes. So when they went after Trump, they went after everybody around him and they investigated. And that's another thing we're learning. If they want to find something on somebody, and if you really have something wrong, this is two things. First of all, they like to show me the person and I find the crime. But if there's no crime, like with Trump, they've tried this for 7 years. Let me investigate him and see can I find a crime. But if they hate you and you are involved or working for somebody that they hate in this political climate, if you have something in your closet, then they're going to find it. And so that's what they did with Michael Cohen. And so he was not paying his taxes. He was doing some illegal stuff. So they got him, just like they got Trump's other people that was working around. They found something that they were doing that really was illegal and they used it. Now, had they not ever worked for Trump, they probably would have gotten away with all of it. They never would have been indicted or anything. But Michael Cohen was such a wimp. He was such a wimp that he just cried and said, I'll give you Trump. And he lied on Trump. And once he got indicted, they told him, you have to implicate Trump in this payment. Now, before he actually got indicted, he had already told some people that Trump knew nothing about it. They even have paperwork that said Trump didn't even know anything about it. So Trump was just paying installments because he always paid his legal fees to Michael Cohen in installments. So Michael Cohen went out and got the loan. He got the loan himself. He said his wife didn't know about it, and Trump didn't know about it. So anyway, and then so they also got him for lying on a loan application because he said he got the loan for home improvements or whatever. And he took some of the money, and he did improve his home some kind of way, remodel his home, did some work on his home, but he used some of the money to pay Stormy Daniels. And again, to me, that's not even a crime, but they brought all that out. That was years ago. But the sad part about this whole thing is they wanted to get Trump. Now it's obvious to everybody. One good thing about this is it's obvious to everybody now, even Democrats. You CNN, everybody knows that this was about getting Trump. Now they knew this, but they was hoping that there was some meat in it. See, that's the sad part about liberals. They don't learn anything. I mean, I'm not a journalist or a reporter or anything, but I knew there was nothing to it. But they act like they were surprised. They act like they were surprised that there was no meat on the bone, that this was nothing, that they thought he had at least something. Why would they think that, though? Why would they think that he could come up with something that nobody else, the feds couldn't come up with anything, but he could come up with something. So they were disappointed. So now Alan Dershowitz, he's a good attorney. And I listened to him last night give his analysis, and it's brilliant. One thing I can say about that man is he admits he's a Democrat. He admits he votes for Democrats, but he doesn't let that get in the way of his profession. He's an attorney. He's not like the rest of them that say, I hate this person so much that I am going to put my reputation on the line as a professional and make up something just to get him. He's not like that. And he was saying that the reason that those jurors, voted to indict is because this is New York City. And he was saying he was hopefully that they can get the trial moved to another location because there's so many biased jurors. But again, he said, if it does get convicted and it goes to the Supreme Court, it's going to get overturned because it's illegal. It's nothing. It's not a felony. It's nothing. It's just an accountant, they claim, he put something in the wrong column. He put a transaction that they wanted in another column, in the wrong column. That's basically what all it is. They're trying to force something that's not there. Saying it's campaign finance violations and whatever. But the sad part about it is we see this country in shambles, people. It's in shambles. And I don't see any way out of this unless we do a full turn. It's got to be a hard turn. It can't be something small. We have to do a full turn from this. Because we are, they said banana republic. This is. But what they always overplay their hands, though, people. Do you see Trump's polls now? Everybody's on Trump's side, even some Democrats, because they see what it is. See, Trump represents the common man. Because if they can do that to Trump with billions of dollars, if they wanted to do that to us, they've already done it to the January 6th people. We found out they haven't committed any crimes. They just was inside the Capitol building. That's it. It was one grandmother in there that has cancer. They gave her some time in prison for just being inside the Capitol building. So they already started doing it to us, the common people. So that's what the problem is right now. That's why it's so sad. But you see, I wore this shirt today because I want everybody to know I'm for Trump. I am for Trump. And nobody's going to get me away from Trump. Nobody's going to turn me away from a president that was on my side, that cut my taxes, that grew my 401k, that took care of the borders so I could be safe in my home. You understand that? Another thing he did. You see, I like to quote what Trump did because that's what matters. You can't take that away from him. That's why they don't ever talk about that. He had the right, he fixed it so people have the right to try. In other words, drugs that they normally people couldn't get. He fixed it so they can get these drugs. They call it a right to try. I want to try to know how to live. So if the doctor said, no, there's no more drugs to help you. And they said, well, it is a drug over here I heard about. A right to try. He fixed that. He did everything. He put everything in the hands of the people that we could use for ourselves, to help ourselves. It was no more government running us, governing us, and being over us and controlling us. It was the other way around. And that's the way our republic is supposed to be. And that's why they have to get rid of Donald Trump, because he was doing it the right way. He didn't come into power to rule over us. He came in to give us our rights back, our freedoms back. He did that with the COVID. They lied on saying he locked down the country. DeSantis followers, that's the narrative they're running with when they know good and well that President Trump left everything in the hands of the governors to lock their states down. 7 different states governors did not lock down at all during COVID because Trump gave them the freedom. They got mad at him. They wanted him to make a federal, a nationwide mandate to wear a mask. He wouldn't do that. He left it up to the states. So he put all the power back in the hands of the people like it's supposed to be. So that is the kind of president we need. But they don't want that. The uniparty, okay? The uniparty doesn't want that. Now, if you don't know what the uniparty is, you need to do your research. Now, I used to didn't believe in the uniparty. I had a friend named Seth. And all he did was talk about the uniparty. And I used to get angry with him. I said, you're just talking stupid stuff. That's not real. And he talked about it over and over again. So now that I have done research, that I've spent these last years researching everything, looking at documentaries, watching all kind of documentaries that, because that's one thing good about the internet. See, back then when all this corruption was starting at the roots of it, when it began years ago. This uniparty stuff, all this corruption it started years ago. But we didn't have the internet. We had like 3 channels, and then whatever they said, whatever the news said, the newspapers, that's all we had. We didn't have any independent people that would come out and say, this is what's happening. And then these are people that were involved in it, involved in the government, in the CIA, in all that. So now you can go back and listen to them. They give talks, they write books, and none of this stuff is refutable. You can't refute anything these people are saying. These are facts. I didn't have all that information. So now that I'm doing all that, I had to go back to my friend Seth and apologize. I said, you were right. You were trying to tell me stuff, but I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to believe it. Now, I'm not happy that I have awakened to what's really happening in this world, because they say ignorance is bliss, and it is. It is sad, and in Ecclesiastes, it says that. The more you know, the sadder you are. I mean, you can't be happy knowing all of this stuff. It's better not to know it. But see, my job, I feel like my job is to tell people. Now, if you don't like it, and a lot of people get mad when I post stuff, I'm trying to say, look, these are facts. I don't care who you're in love with, what you believe. I'm telling you, I was in love with the Republican Party. I was in love with Bush, Mitt Romney, John McCain. Anybody they put in front of me that was running, any empty suit that they held up and said, this is the new person, this is it. I was on their side. I never questioned them. I never questioned anything. But I'm past that now. I question everybody. I look at everybody's background. You're not going to shove anybody down my throat anymore. That's not going to work. I'm going to examine them. And when that happens, you see, then because they're right now, the GOP, you notice they haven't said too much. Individuals have come out and defended Trump. But the RNC, what have they said? That, everybody should have been out here defending Trump. And then some of the ones that have defended him really are not defending him. It's just something they're doing because they know it needs to be done. But deep down inside, they're happy about it too. See, they want to get rid of Trump. My point is, they never want us to ever have a president that works for the people, because they got this thing set up. For years, they have been in power, getting everything they want. I'm talking about the Republicans. I'm not even talking about the Democrats. But the uniparties, both of them. The uniparty have common things that they all like. They like war. They like the military complex, industrial complex. They like that. They like that. Both uniparty. They are, because that's how they make their money. They're all for this Ukraine war. They already got it set in motion. That's why they want the next president. It doesn't matter who it is, unless it's Donald Trump, because Trump has already said, I'm gonna squash this. They know that, so they don't care. They don't care which party wins the presidency, as long as that person is part of the uniparty. So that we can get the wars going, we can get this going, the trade deficit. You remember the imbalanced trade deficit? We didn't know anything about that till Trump came on the scene. And let me tell you this. When Trump would say stuff, I would listen to him. And I truly expected the GOP, not only the 16 that was running against him, but just somebody from the GOP to refute what he was saying. They never did. I'm talking about doing the 2016, and Trump was just revealing and exposing all this stuff. And I was like, are you kidding me? He exposed the deficit with the trade deficit. He exposed all that. He exposed all the jobs being sent overseas. He exposed a lot of things that I had no clue of. Now, these are Republicans in on this. This is not just Democrats. But I expected them to say something. They never did, people. In fact, all they did was call him names. But when none of them ever refuted him, I knew it was the truth. I knew it was the truth. And I was so disappointed in a party that I spent my adult life fighting for, donating to, helping campaign for. I won't do that anymore. I'm done with that. You're not going to shove anybody down my throat and tell me this is the person here. No, Donald Trump is my president. And if he somehow doesn't get in the White House, I'm done. I want you all to know this. If Trump does not end up in the White House this next time, I'm done with politics. Because there's no reason for me to be still in politics when I already know the game. See, and that's another thing. I don't like playing games. And you know what? All these years, I didn't know I was playing a game. But I was being played, and I was playing along with it without knowing it. Those days are over for me. I don't play games. So if Trump somehow does not end up in the White House, you can forget seeing Patricia Dickson saying anything else. I am going to be done with politics because it's a game. And I don't play games. This country, this is a great country. To be ruined by people who just want to rule over you. They want a one world government. All of this. That's not what our Constitution says. That's not why they fought for freedom, the Revolutionary War. They didn't fight so they could be one world government and one world order and one world. We wanted to be Americans. We wanted to be Americans, our own nation, a sovereign nation. But they don't want that. So they're messing with everything. Our currency, they're messing with everything. And Republicans are in on it. I don't care what Democrats do. We're supposed to have two parties. But see, we couldn't have gotten in this condition. This country could not have gotten in this condition if we had two parties. Think about that. Because one is supposed to fight against the other. But for us to get this far gone, and I say this far gone, we had to be both parties participating. So that's where we are. So the thing they did to President Trump yesterday was awful. But a lot of people have awakened, and his polls just jumped even higher because he's a common, he represents the common man. People say, well, some liberals say, how can he be representing the common man and he's a billionaire? That has nothing to do with it. Because if they can do it to a billionaire, they can do it to me, they can do it to you. So the justice system's a two-tiered, justice system. The guy, Bragg, he had the nerve to do a conference, a press conference claiming we arrest everybody. We don't let anybody get away with anything. That's a lie. We got people in New York City banging people over the head. You can come out, you can see all kind of clips. They walk out of a store, they get hit over the head. They get pushed down onto the tracks in the subways. Women are being raped in broad daylight on the subway platform. All of this stuff is going on in New York City. And you know what they're doing? They're doing away with, even if they arrest them, they let them out a few hours later and they're back to banging somebody upside the head again. Okay, this is what we have. But yet and still, these people in New York voted for these people. They're paying their salaries, and they don't care what happened to them. They don't care that they let burglars out, thieves out, rapists out, any kind of assault. You see them, they're hitting old people over the head. Everybody, they don't care about that. All they care about is getting a former president who's done nothing wrong. This is who they voted for. This is who they voted for. So I really don't feel sorry for the citizens, because if you will allow your attorney general and your district attorney to let all these criminals, also he's taking people that have felonies and he's lowering the felonies down to misdemeanors, a felony. He's doing that to citizens, and so they can't live safe in their own homes. They can't walk up and down the street safe because their own district attorney is doing that to them, throwing the criminals back out on them, and then trying to indict a president who's done nothing wrong. And they're cheering it on. I don't have any sympathy for that. So I just want to say, yesterday was a sad day. But whenever I see my president do this, and he's been doing this for years. This is Trump. When I see him do that, I'm all for him because he's been doing, that's his signature. He's been doing it for 30-some-odd years. He comes out and he does this, and I do it too. America first. America first, people. You're either going to be for America or you're not. You can think that if you vote for somebody else, you're still for America. If you can't see what's happening around you, the way we got like this, if you can't see that both parties did this, and the only person that's fighting for you is the one they keep trying to indict. Think about that. Who else are they trying to indict? Whatever presidential candidates, whatever party members of the Democrat Party or the Republican Party, or who else? What other politicians are they trying to do this to? Who have they been harassing for 7 years? Think about that. Why are they harassing him for 7 years? Forget about tweets. Forget about this. Why? Use your brains and say, why do they keep doing this to this man? And then I'll let you know that he's the only one that's fighting for you. He's the only one that's fighting for America. He's the only one. And that is why they're after him. And I want you to wake up and see that. Wake up and see that, people. This is your country. It's worth fighting for. And the only one that's fighting for our country right now is Donald J. Trump. Have a blessed day.